Hi, good morning. Once again, good to have you guys again on the show today. All of the updates, everything we want to guys know on top the pandemic, how far, how well we don't come in terms of vaccines, how people they take out the reactions and all of that. And yes, Dr. Barby no disappoint. He is, as always, elegantly dressed and ready for the occasion. Taking us through the journey of how far we've come. Doctor.
Yeah, slimmest of them all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So
How you
nice to
doing?
be with you this
Yes,
morning.
always, same here.
Thank you very much for your kind words.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, viewers at home and around the world. Today we are looking at vaccine updates. And I want to start by saying that vaccination is very critical to ending the COVID-19 pandemic. Vaccination is very critical to ending the COVID-19 pandemic. If you're out there, you haven't gotten vaccinated, we're encouraging you to go ahead and make yourself available. We'll be looking at the challenges as well as the updates that have to do with vaccine. At the moment, I can tell you that over 1 million in Nigeria have gotten vaccinated.
Oh, good.
Over 1 million people, and we have not recorded any death arising from the adverse reaction that have been spoken about or that have been linked with some of the vaccine candidates. Okay, just 2 days ago, the international news media were awash, and a good number of them, with the information or the news that the CDC in the US has actually given an insight with respect to the challenges that have occurred, even among people that have been vaccinated, talking about individuals that have been fully vaccinated, okay? They actually came out to say that was on Thursday, that about 5,800 individuals in the US that have been fully vaccinated have been found to have contacted the COVID-19, even after getting fully vaccinated. And of course, within this figure, about 7% of them were hospitalized. 396 individuals among this category of people that were infected, having been fully vaccinated, okay? And out of this figure, 74 fatalities, deaths were recorded. 74 people died even after getting fully vaccinated. Now, that information can look somehow scary, okay? Because before now, the information we have said or we have given a couple of times is that the vaccination will actually make you safer. Should you have the disease, you're not likely to have. Should you have the infection, you're not likely to have the disease. Okay, not to talk of having a catastrophic outcome, just like we witnessed. Okay, all of that are what we'll be looking at in today's episode. But let me also say that that was not unexpected. The scientific community, a number of people have been asked questions along this line. Keep in mind that at the beginning, even during the trials, when the vaccines were undergoing trials in humans, the two vaccine candidates were said to have gotten efficacy that hovered between 94 and 95%. So none of them from the beginning was said to be 100% efficient. Okay, so what that means is that if 100 people, going by the trial records, the data that we got from the trials, if 100 people were to be vaccinated, 4 or 5, 4 to 6 out of them may still have issues having been fully vaccinated. So it wasn't surprising. Okay, but the fact that this set of people actually took ill to the extent that some even died was what startled a good number of us. And I can tell you, there could be a number of variables that one will need to look at when you're talking about, when we talk about fatalities in this individual. For instance, I also want to point out that recently, a study that was done in Italy actually came out to say that the degree of antibody or immune response that were generated in people, medical workers, talking about the sample size that actually participated in this study, that they found out that weight has something to do with the degree of response that could be elicited in an individual that has taken this vaccine fully. What that means is that people who were said to be overweight and obese actually had the vaccine responding not as much as it did in people who had normal weight or people who were lean. So obesity could actually, and overweight in that study, permit me to also point out that that study has not been peer-reviewed. What peer review means is that other scientists will have to look at it, okay? But it is something that has raised an issue that is worth looking at. So it's difficult to know. We haven't been given details of those individuals that were said to have died. Could it be that they have some other comorbidities that may have contributed? A whole lot of questions are still unanswered. But all in all, I want to say this, that regardless of issue like this, it still hasn't changed the fact that the benefit we stand to have getting vaccinated by far outweigh the risk. Just about a week or so ago, the European Medicine Watchdog, EMA, actually came out to talk about the blood clot that was found to be associated also with one of the vaccine candidates, talking about the AstraZeneca vaccine candidate. We'll be mentioning the name for clarity's sake. Okay, so they actually said that in the UK, that yes, a number of people, or a handful in the population, may have developed clots that are beginning to be associated with that shot. But they actually pointed out that the probability of having such a rare reaction, talking about blood clot reaction, is actually 1 in 250,000. 1 in 250,000. That means that if you have 250,000 people taking the vaccine, chances are that one person may eventually have such a reaction. Now, why are we saying this? It's important we point out this because I can tell you that before now, some of the people who have taken just a dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine in Nigeria, I've seen a good number of them. Very recently, I was in a training seminar, and someone that sat close to me, a lady, refused to wear her mask. Even after a number of us advised her to please wear her mask, she still refused. What was her reason? That she has gotten a dose of the vaccine, of COVID vaccine, and as a result, she doesn't want to wear her mask anymore. Okay, so some of us felt that since we couldn't enforce that, all we needed to do was to give her some distance, and we left that vicinity. Now, why am I saying this? Regardless of the fact whether or not you have taken the vaccine, please ensure that you do not lose your guard. That is the message. Continue to wear your mask, continue to social distance, continue to observe those preventive COVID-19 protocols that we have been told about. And of course, essentially, this includes, as much as possible, avoid crowded places, wash your hands at all times. In places where you do not have water to wash your hand, make use of your sanitizers and your hand rub, okay? And also ensure that surfaces around you, frequently touched surfaces around you, are clean and disinfected at all times, especially for people who are in the office. Have people to come in and then clean the door handles from time to time. COVID-19 is still very much with us. Even as we are, we have achieved the scientific community has achieved a major landmark, okay, with the introduction of vaccine. And also the vaccine, of course, we have been told, are also very effective, regardless of the issues that we may be seeing from time to time, or surrounding one or two of the vaccine candidates, okay, specifically the AstraZeneca vaccine candidate, of course, which appears to be the one we have in the country today. Also, earlier in the week, about a few days ago, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine candidate in the US also had issues relating to blood clots. About 6 individuals were said to have been adversely affected after taking that shot. And as a result, US authorities have paused the inoculation with that vaccine candidate for now until they are done with their investigations. And I can tell you that last week we talked about types of vaccine. This particular vaccine candidate in the US, talking about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine candidate, is about the same thing, the same type of vaccine with that of AstraZeneca. They're called viral vector vaccines, okay? They're about the same, okay? Very different from the messenger RNA vaccine, which are called genetic vaccines. Okay, so but shortly, I'm going to talk about types of vaccines to enable us have a good picture. Because when we talk about vaccine, people tend to wonder, why should people be having issues with one safety concerns and not the other? They are all different classes or different types of vaccine. They are all not the same. Okay. Let me also go back to the update we have with respect to where we are today with vaccine. Okay. Now, but before that, let me give an overview. Before we talk about that shortly, let me give an overview of where we are today with respect to global affectation of COVID-19. As we speak, over 140 million persons have been affected globally or have been infected with COVID-19. And of course, it has caused more than 3 million deaths, precisely 3,012,991 individuals have unfortunately died to this scourge. So it is no joke. Suffice also to point out that 119,388,860 persons have equally recovered fully from the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, that is a major milestone. Now, let me bring it closer home to the number of people that have been vaccinated in Nigeria as of today. Okay. Now, as of 16th of April, that should be yesterday. Yeah. The total number of people that have been vaccinated in Nigeria is 1,081,548.
So we have over 1 million already.
Yes, vaccinated in Nigeria. We can see that on our screen. Okay, and of course, we have this distribution across the states. A good number of states have actually done very well. Okay, so we have that displayed on our screen. Lagos State has vaccinated the most, 200,602 persons have gotten vaccinated in Lagos. And of course, Kwara State tops the chart in terms of the percentage of the target. Okay, Kwara State has 111.2% people vaccinated. Okay, so that's the expected target. For that of Lagos, regardless of the fact that Lagos has done over 200,000, Lagos percentage of target reached so far still stands at 79%. And a good number of states are also still below 10,000. Okay, so that's not good enough. The only way we can combat this COVID-19 pandemic is ensuring that we get as many of us that should please get vaccinated. We're also hoping that it will get to a time when the certain percentage of the population who may have gotten vaccinated, as well as people who may have been exposed to the disease, will help us to achieve herd immunity. And of course, it's at a time when a stage where it will no longer be possible for COVID-19 to be transmitted in the community, regardless of the fact that there may still be a handful of people who may not have gotten the infection or who may not have gotten vaccinated. Okay, I think we'll go on a short break and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Yeah. They say to prevent yourself from coming down with the disease, you guys get the vaccine. At least if you know say you love yourself, you love your friends, and you love your family members, then you already know waiting to. So before we went on that break, obviously, Dr. Barth don't tell us at least over 1 million persons now you don't take the vaccine for inside Nigeria. And of course, over 150 million persons now you don't come down with the virus globally. Of course, we don't get over 3 million persons will be murdered based on that. And yes, as we record our casualties, we also been getting number of persons we've been recover from the virus. So what do you need to do so that you feel stay safe? That's now why we get Dr. Barth. That's now why we get WAP TV, where they bring the show live for you from any part of the world, where they watch us from this morning. So thank you so much for staying tuned, of course. And at that very time, Dr. Barth will continue, but I think it's just okay for us to open our phone line. So in case you get questions, I get like 5 already. Yes, I wrote down 5 questions I would ask doctor this morning. So if you did like me, you get questions where you could like ask the doctor, say, okay, because really, are they shocked? Why are people taking the vaccines and still dying? I think I was thinking that we're supposed to take it so I can live. So if I have to take it and at the end of the day, something will come happen, then why do I really need to take the vaccine? And then I wrote something here. I said, are you impressed? Yes, because like you said, over 1 million persons don't already take the vaccine. First off, doctor, are you impressed with the number of persons who don't take the vaccine, or you feel the numbers are not impressive enough? Let me start from there.
Thank you very much. I'm impressed with the numbers that have come forward to be vaccinated in Nigeria. Okay, my worry is that we may not have enough doses to go around. Don't forget, this particular vaccine candidate that we presently have in Nigeria requires 2 doses. Requires 2 doses. Okay, so the people who have gotten vaccinated with the initial dose are expected to go back at some point to take the second dose. So now if we take the numbers that have been vaccinated, which is of course over 1 million, and then you match it to what we're having in the country today, the best we can go is probably to have like 2 million. That vaccine will probably cover 2 million people. Okay, but I do know that in the US, they actually did something different. Okay, what they tried to do was to reach as many people as possible. Okay, giving a dose, just 1 dose. Okay. So that in a Nigerian situation, if we try to do that, that means that close to 4 million doses we have, or thereabout, will go as far as immunizing or inoculating 4 million people. Okay, but with the arrangement we have on ground, that can only take like 2 million. And that, of course, is a far cry. Don't forget that it's not everybody at the moment that is expected to come forward for the vaccine. Priority group are people who are expected to come for this initial dose. And of course, I do know that Nigeria is expecting a new consignment any moment from now. But my challenge and my worry is that I think one of the vaccines that we are trying to bring in happens to be among the ones that are having issues that have been paused. But I believe that investigations will come clean. And as a result, it will also help to build people's confidence with respect to the vaccine.
Okay, so you said the one way we take for Nigeria now, the AstraZeneca vaccine.
Yes, vaccine candidate.
So how safe is that? Why am I asking? I've had a couple of persons who been actually take the vaccine and they couldn't go to work for a couple of days. They came down with some very severe symptoms. Some had body aches. Some their eyes were swollen. Some they had blisters. Different, some were having high body temperature and all of that. And in short, at a point, some persons were like, Slimmy, if you know you like yourself, I got such statement. So how safe is the AstraZeneca vaccine? And then for these people, and then I've had people that actually had it, they took the vaccine and there were no symptoms. They were perfect. So how safe is the AstraZeneca vaccines? And then secondly, for all of these persons that actually came down with all of these symptoms, what is actually responsible for that?
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying as more information becomes available, we'll update the knowledge we have at that particular time. Okay, so that is what is happening now. Okay. Before now, I know I've said it countless number of times on this show that we've also listened to our own Professor Tomori repeating it over and over again on a number of videos that were played here, that when you take the vaccine, the worst that can happen is that you could if you get infected after taking the vaccine, that it will prevent the infection from becoming a disease. Okay, but the news that we got about 2-3 days ago, in which case people that have been fully vaccinated, what appear to be the best of the vaccines, in quotes, if any, talking about the messenger RNA vaccines, the genetic vaccines in the US. That news must also be, I'm a human. Apart from that, I'm a medical personnel. I was jolted with that information because it kind of rubbished all we've been saying before now, all we know before now. Okay, but when I read in between the lines, I realized that, look, nobody told us from the beginning, from the blast of the whistle, that any of the vaccines was 100% efficient, okay, or effective. So if we are saying 94, what is 94%? What is 95%? Out of every 100, you remove 6 or 5. Okay, so that means if 100 people get vaccinated, chances are that about 6, 5 could end up getting infected at the end of the day. Coming to the question you asked me, for now, I would defer to the international regulatory authorities, talking about the position of WHO as well as EMA. European Medicines Agency. Okay. Now, their position is this, and of course that is what should count.
Okay.
That regardless of the challenges of blood clots that have been noticed in one or two places, it doesn't take away the effectiveness of this or the efficacy of the AstraZeneca vaccine.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I can tell you that if you look at the number of people that have been vaccinated, Pfizer-BioNTech and AstraZeneca vaccine candidates have been used to vaccinate a lot more people than any other vaccine type or any other vaccine candidate. So their position is that the benefits by far outweigh the risk.
Dangers. Okay.
The benefit of having the vaccine by far outweigh the risk. Let me also say that COVID-19, some studies have actually pointed out that COVID-19 on its own can cause blood clots.
Oh.
The infection itself can cause blood clot. Now, but if you look at the number of people that these reactions of concern, talking about the blood clot, I'm still coming to the ones you mentioned.
Okay.
I'm talking about the side effects or adverse drug or injection reactions of importance. Okay. They are still very, very rare.
Okay.
Okay. I said at the beginning that the chances of one reacting to AstraZeneca vaccine, according to EMA, is about, according to UK authorities, about 1 in 250,000. So meaning that every 250,000 that gets vaccinated with AstraZeneca vaccine, you may have just one person. So it's 0.0001, okay, of people that may have such a reaction. What could be responsible? At the moment, there are some clinical variables that some studies are pointing out to, okay, but they are not yet sure. It's still very unclear, yes, as to what may be responsible. Some other side effects that can occur when one gets vaccinated, of course, some of the ones you have mentioned, malaria, headache, fever. Those suffice also to say that these are common challenges that anybody can have. Even with our children that we usually take for immunization, once they take measles vaccine, a good number of children will have fever at the end of the day, say for 1 or 2 days. And of course, if you administer fever-stopping drugs like paracetamol, that will clear over time. So those are not the side effects of importance that we're talking about. It's those ones that can become life-threatening.
Like bleeding.
Yes, that causes thrombocytopenia, reduction in the number of red blood cells, which will actually predispose such an individual to bleeding challenges or blood clots. Okay. Before now, there's a drug, heparin, that usually gives that picture. We have Mrs. Blessing from Kaduna. Good morning, ma.
Mrs. Blessing, good morning. Hello, ma. She's gone. Okay. Please feel free to call back, and when you do, turn down the volume on your TV set so that we'll fit hear you very well. Okay, sir. Okay,
so let me read what I have here. Still on the AstraZeneca vaccine candidates. Separately, the UK medicines regulator said on Wednesday that it also identified a possible link between the shot and the rare blood clots. The Medicines and Healthcare Product Regulatory Agency, MHRA, similarly said that the benefits of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine outweighed the risk for most people. Britain's Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunization said people under 30 who don't have any underlying health conditions should get a different vaccine if possible. Okay, now I'll still come to that. Other side effects, the EMA, which flagged other possible side effects, added that it was of great importance. It was of great importance. It was of great importance. I repeated it 3 times for a reason. Yes, that healthcare professionals and people receiving the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine were aware of the risks and to watch for possible symptoms that typically occur in the first 2 weeks after inoculation. Very important. First 2 weeks after getting vaccinated, you should have a high index of suspicion. So that should you have any of the challenges that have been mentioned, you can start on a good time to seek for medical attention. Of course, they went further to say that this includes, for example, shortness of breath, chest pain, swelling in the legs, persistent abdominal pains, neurological symptoms, including severe or persistent headache or blurred vision, and skin bruises beyond the site of injection. Okay, that is reading verbatim from what we have here. So this is not from Dr. Barth. These are from the authorities concerned. Okay. Yeah, but that said, the position still remains that the benefit by far outweigh the risk. So we encourage each and every one of us to go and get vaccinated, because that is the only way we can end this COVID-19 pandemic. That's the only way that we can end this COVID-19 pandemic. I'm hoping that in the coming weeks to months, we may be able to have other vaccine candidates in the country. Okay, but for now, the one we have is more than good enough. So nobody should be afraid to go forward to take it. The occurrences are very rare. The adverse events that we talked about that could be life-threatening cannot be weighted with what can happen if we fail to make ourselves available and get vaccinated. Okay,
Doctor, but then it's still talking about taking the vaccines. Now, would you advise those persons that, that had the disease to still get vaccinated? Like
okay,
for
people
those that
who have been
treated,
infected.
Yes, they were infected, but they got treated. So
yeah, of course they can. They
can't
take the vaccine. Yeah,
why? Because they can.
They are eligible. This is a vaccine.
No, is it because they can still come down with it?
Yes. Possibility of coming down with it for the second time. We have said that before. It has been reported in a number of countries. So it doesn't matter if you have had COVID-19 in time past, you can still go forward and have the vaccine. It's important you do so. Okay, so having it a first time does not mean you cannot have it again. But our emphasis is on precautionary measures. Okay, strict adherence to preventive measures of COVID-19 is key, very important. Okay, I was in a seminar where a colleague was talking about the reasons why people should go for vaccine. And he said the number one vaccine for him is the face mask. That is a very important one. That we should all wear our face mask. It doesn't matter if you've been vaccinated or not. Keep wearing your face mask. Not knowing that in another 1 or 2 weeks from that time, we're going to have a news of people who actually got fully vaccinated, who had the privilege of getting fully vaccinated. I can tell you there are a lot of people who are looking for this vaccine, but they don't have the opportunity to get them. Okay, but having gotten fully vaccinated, and yet this challenge could come up. Okay, so
Doctor, is it okay for us to talk about those people that are eligible? I don't know, because we actually mentioned that while you were talking. You said some persons, like we should bear in mind that it's not for everybody.
Yes.
So what are those persons?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's important to point this out. Thank you very much for that very important question. Talking about contraindications. In medicine, we have indications, and of course, we have contraindications. Eligibility status. People who have undergone organ transplantation, such people are usually placed on immunosuppressive therapy or treatment. This set of individuals can actually not go for the vaccine for now. Okay. Now it is believed that because of the drugs they are taking to suppress their immunity, it could endanger or predispose them to some of these adverse drug reactions. Other than people that have undergone organ transplantation, I don't think there's any other contrary. Okay, people with known hypersensitivity.
What about age?
Age is not a factor. Okay, people who are diabetic can go for the vaccine. People who are hypertensive can go for the vaccine. People who have some of these common chronic illnesses can still go for the vaccine. In fact, those people should be among the priority group that should go for the vaccine. Okay. Now, coronavirus vaccine tracker, let me give you an update as of 15th of April. Okay. 52 vaccine candidates are in phase 1 trial at the moment. 37 on phase 2. Phase 3 has 23 vaccine candidates. The ones that have gotten authorization, limited use authorization at the moment are 5. The ones that have achieved full approval, 8 of them. So you can see it's not just the AstraZeneca that we have. AstraZeneca and 7 others have achieved full approval. Okay, so we have options.
We know.
We know that because it happens to be the one in Nigeria. It happens to be the one in Nigeria. And of course, 4 vaccines have been abandoned. Okay, so what that shows is that the scientific community from time to time, they review the events that are playing out. More and more people are getting vaccinated. If there are issues, they go back to the drawing board, so to say. Okay, I'm also aware that Pfizer-BioNTech is also considering giving a 3rd booster dose to people who may have had the 1st and the 2nd doses. So you can see they're not sleeping. They're trying to ensure that we do all that are humanly possible to beat this COVID-19 pandemic that has disrupted the way we live, the way we move, and the way we carry out virtually every human activity. Okay, so all hands must be on deck. Okay,
doctor, now speaking about, I think one of the reasons again, because obviously you get to meet people and you get to ask them, their views and all on the vaccines. Now, why some persons are feeling they do not want to take the vaccines, at least one of the reasons why somebody don't give me now say, Slimmy, don't you think that vaccine was just too immediate, that coronavirus came out in 2019 and then it wasn't even up to a year for us to make a vaccine, that it was just too sudden. It was more like, okay, they knew this was going to happen and then they had like a ready-made stuff on ground. So really, does it take like a very long time for us to get I don't know how it works. I don't know, but you're a doctor. So does it really take a long time to get vaccines? And
Yes.
Okay, maybe when we come back, you answer. Because really, that is why some persons are skeptical about taking it. So we'll go for this break again, and then we'll be right back. Stick around with us. We'll be right back. You don't hear Amo. Go and take the vaccine. May not be say we not tell you. We don't tell you already, and we'll keep saying it because we love you so much. You're very important to us. Thank you so much for staying tuned. You see the Untitled Chapter Family Entertainment Channel. And of course, now the Corona vaccine updates. Yes, now Dr. Barth on the chook eye on top since the beginning of the show. And we see they talk about it. As a matter of fact, I get a pending question, but I'm going to add one to that. Okay, doctor, so before we went on that break, I told you, I said, how long does it take to get a vaccine ready? Because some persons or some people are feeling the vaccine came in too early, that it was supposed to take years for us to develop, get one. All of a sudden, on that space of 1 year, in the space of 1 year, we had one ready, or we had several vaccines ready. And then secondly, please, does the vaccine make somebody...
Make somebody what? Okay, don't worry. Let's tackle with the one you have dropped. We'll come back to that. Okay.
Impotent. Let me just say. Does it make a man impotent?
No, it doesn't. Those are.
I'm asking for my dear men.
Yes, those are unfounded, unsubstantiated misinformation. A good number of them have been flying around every now and then. Using it to depopulate the world and all whatnot.
Yeah.
Baseless.
End time.
At best. Baseless claims at best. Now, thank you very much for that question. How come we were able to get vaccine within a record time? Vaccines typically will take years of research and testing before it gets to the clinic. That has always been what we know in the scientific community. The earliest vaccine that has, the fastest a vaccine has been produced, was the mumps vaccine that was produced in a record time. 4 years it took. Okay, but I can tell you that the scientific community, don't forget, this coronaviruses have been with us since the 1960s.
Before 2019?
Yes, since the 1960s.
Oh, really?
Okay, so...
Were they harmful then?
Yeah, of course they were harmful. This one is COVID-19. We've had MERS, if you can remember, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. Okay, and then we have SARS-CoV-1 that occurred in China in 1992 and 93 or thereabout. Okay, so we've had coronaviruses before now with us, but we're talking about this particular strain.
One.
And that came out in 2019. That is why it is called COVID-19. So all of these processes to get a vaccines for coronaviruses have been in place before now. Okay, so the genetic vaccines, the messenger RNA vaccine, that Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna vaccine belong to, okay, they've done more or less 60 to 70% of the work before 2019. So what was left was just to fill in the gap to see if this could match. Okay, so that is why it was possible. That said, they had a number of supports that were unprecedented. The American government supported with billions and billions of dollars, and ditto for some other national governments supported their efforts, which have not happened before now. Okay, so they had all the things they needed, and that was why it didn't come as a surprise that we could get a vaccine in a record time. That does not make the vaccine less effective. In fact, at the time these vaccines were being produced, anything that would have probably gotten to the to say 50 to 60% would have been a game changer. But today we have vaccine candidates that are up to 94% efficacy. Okay, so those were unprecedented achievements from the scientific community. So that does not take anything off the vaccine. These challenges that we're having are not, like I said at the beginning, they are not unexpected. When you say something is 70% effective,
obviously,
you should be prepared to have 30% that may go towards the negative. Okay, so when we say 95% effective, it means that no vaccine, apart from the COVID-19 vaccine, no vaccine is 100% efficient.
Because I was almost asking that, can we have 100?
None. And of course, this takes us to the number of vaccine types that we have at the moment. Genetic vaccines, Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna belong to this class. Viral vector vaccines. Genetic vaccines are the ones that carry genetic material with the help of a lipid envelope that is introduced into the human cells. And when they get to the human cell, they will cause some degree of immune response so that the body can generate some natural defense mechanisms, okay, against future diseases. Okay, so we'll call them antibodies will be produced at the end of the day. Okay, you have viral vector vaccine make use of the adenoviruses. Okay, this is where the AstraZeneca vaccine type belong, and also the Johnson & Johnson, and also the Sputnik 5 from Gamaleya Institute in Russia also belong to this class. And of course, you have the whole virus vaccine. A good example is the vaccine that we use for children, the measles vaccine. They are called live attenuated. The virus is being injected in the human body in its deactivated form, okay? A form that cannot be harmful to the system, and we'll call it attenuated form. Okay, so we have whole virus vaccine, and of course we have also the protein-based vaccines. That should be number 4. And lastly, the repurposed vaccine. I said that I think 2 weeks ago. Now, this repurposed vaccine are vaccines that probably was being used for a particular medical condition, but now being tried to see if it could have good effects on another medical condition. That also exists with respect to drugs. Okay, so you also have that with drugs. Okay, so at the moment, 77 vaccine candidates have gotten to preclinical stage. Okay, and 89 are in clinical trials. So there are a whole lot of vaccines that are still undergoing development. 77 vaccine candidates undergoing preclinical trials at the moment. 89 vaccine candidates have gotten to clinical trials, in which case they are now being tried in humans. Okay, so we are hoping that in no distant time, we'll have a whole lot of vaccines so that people will be able to make their choices. Okay, and 23 vaccine candidates have reached the final stage of testing. And of course, we have said that 8 have gotten formal approval, and AstraZeneca is among them. And of course, that is the vaccine we have in the country today, and we are admonishing each and every one of us to come forward. Like I said, my fears are not with respect with what is happening in terms of the adverse effects, because they are rare, they are negligible. The benefits outweigh the risk. But my fear is we not being able to get enough that can go around to as many Nigerians.
Because now we don't know when the next
to...
set of vaccines will come in.
Yes.
Abi?
Yes. Okay, so that's what we should be looking at.
But then, Doctor, do you think we are doing well globally? Like in terms of numbers, are they decreasing, or it's just in Nigeria having decreased in numbers?
No, globally, there's a whole lot of improvement that have happened. Okay, let me, because you mentioned this, let's look at the rate of infection across the globe. Okay, US still tops the chart, where you have over 32 million individuals that have caught the virus. Okay, the new cases in the US in the last 24 hours was 81,773. My source is odometers.info. Okay, that's where I'm reading from. New deaths in the US, 887. Okay, you can remember there was a time that US was witnessing in the neighborhood of 4,000 to 5,000 deaths in just one day. Okay,
so obviously.
And of course, Africa too, the numbers are declining. Okay, so South Africa at the moment, only 92 people died in the last 24 hours. Nigeria still stand at 7th position on the African chart. 67 new cases were the new cases we recorded in the last 24 hours. And there was no death recorded in the last 48 hours, and that's a good omen.
That's a good one. And we should end the show on that note.
Thank you very much.
Okay for us to end the show on that note. Thank you so much again,
we'll
Doctor.
Be back next week
Saturday
with another topic.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.